Hello and welcome to On the Bench, the weekly sports discussion show for Lincolnshire and East Yorkshire, right here on Estuary TV. I'm Rob Underwood. Well, joining me in the studio this evening are Barbara Brown from the Wolds Veterans Running Club and from Fusion Boxing Fit, Wayne Bloy, the bantamweight boxer from Grimsby. Welcome to you both. Well, coming up this evening, Matt Denson went along to Chequered flag go-karting in Halton-the-Clay, where he came up against an unlikely opponent. And Tom and Stu, of course, are back again to answer your questions in A View from the Estuary. And we'll bring you the weekend results from our regional teams. But first, John Fenty was down at Humberston Academy last week to support the Show Racism the Red Card campaign. Tom Reed went along to speak to him to find out more.
My name's Councillor John Fenty. We're here today with my colleagues, Councillor Norton and also Councillor Harness, in support of Show Racism the Red Card. I think we also have to recognise and understand that racism is a two-way thing. There's all sorts of minority groups that could be affected. We'll take travellers, gypsies for want of a better description. It could be any group in society that could face some sort of racism. It can be a two-way thing. It doesn't have to be just blacks, it can be whites. So I think today is a really good overview of how racism is looked at. So we're delighted to show Racism the Red Card.
John Fenty showing his support for the Show Racism the Red Card campaign there. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, John. Well, moving on now, Barbara Brown. Barbara, thanks very much for joining us this evening. First of all, tell us some more about the Wolds Running Club and your accomplishments, first of all.
Well, I belong to the Wolds Veterans Running Club, which has been going for 25 years now, and this is its 25th anniversary.
Must be doing something right.
Well, yeah, when we formed it in 1988 by older members then, as the years have gone on, it's gradually built up, and we've got different types of runners belong to the club. So we've got people who are interested in road running, off-road running, fell running, going on the wolds, and there's lots of opportunities with Wolds Vets to get involved in different types of running.
I notice, I think you're being very modest. You neatly avoided my first question about your accomplishments as well, because you're right up there, aren't you, in terms of your achievements? Tell us more about what you've been doing.
In my younger years, I say younger years, a veteran is 35 years old, and I was actually at my peak at 35 years old. And I was able to run marathons within 3 hours. And I achieved 3 Humber Bridge Marathon wins for the ladies.
Gosh.
In the 1980s. And became Humberside County Championship, won the county championships in cross country, 10 milers and half marathons.
Tell us some more about now, in terms of your fitness routine. You're obviously still very fit. You're still running?
Yeah. I do still run, not as much as I did, because when you're training for a marathon you have to do lots of miles. So I do a fraction of the miles I used to do. But I do still run to compete in 10Ks and cross-country events and off-road events, which are special when you get, well, I think when you get older you need to get off-road a little bit.
And you mentioned about when you were looking back earlier on in your career, what sort of age range are you looking at in terms of the members now, who from sort of young to old?
We're getting the age ranges from 35, and we're getting lots of young, even women, more women now joining us, and the men now are 35 veterans. It used to be 40 a couple of years ago, and it's now 35. So we've got the age ranges from 35 right up into 80.
And where do you go to when you're running?
If we go to the club night is on a Monday night, and it's at Luke Harley's in Cleethorpes. And so that would be a road run, and that would go around the streets for about 6 to 9 miles. But if we go off-road, there are different events that Wolds run on a Saturday morning, a Sunday morning, in the week, round the Lincolnshire Wolds.
Bit of a myth though, isn't it? That a lot of people will say and think Lincolnshire's flat, but there are other wolds and they can be quite daunting, can't they?
You can get some really good.
Wayne's nodding his head. I think he's having to review his fitness campaign as well,
Definitely.
just how much you're doing. But there are considerable hills in the Wolds.
Oh yeah, you can get some really good training sessions in the Wolds.
And tell us some more about events coming up. What is happening in the new year?
in the new year, we've got New Year Day 10K, which has been running for many, many years in Cleethorpes, starts in Cleethorpes. And then we've got the Ferriby 10, which is in Hull. We've got a half marathon coming up in Scunthorpe. A lot of these are run, the half marathon and the Tough 10 has been run by Wolds Vets for a long time, or Wolds Vet members. And so there's lots of events going on.
How can we get more involved? How can people find out more about
Well, I think what they can do is, on a Monday evening, there's lots of runners go down to Luke Harley's, and which is Wilton Road.
Is there a website?
And if they come about 6:15.
Yeah. Is there a website?
Yes, there's a local website, and you just look up Wolds Veterans Running Club, and go to that, and it'll tell you where, and it'll tell you all the runs that's going on.
Okay, quick way to find out. Barbara, for now, thanks very much. Sounds very energetic. Thanks very much indeed. Tom and Stu now here to answer your questions from Twitter in a view from the estuary.
Hello and welcome to this week's View from the Estuary.
With having all these games in hand, will Grimsby Town's season stumble?
At the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to come to an end. You know, the game after game, they're winning games, they're on great form, there's no sign of sort of tiredness yet or anything like that, but then it may catch up to them as it did last season.
Yeah, and obviously with the size of the squad, it's not the biggest, to be fair. You know, a couple of injuries, the games in hand will catch up. They're already 3 games behind Nuneaton. Nuneaton have played 22, Grimsby have only played 19. The FA Cup run's a good distraction from the league, though. Hopefully, after Saturday's great win against Northampton, they can do the same against Huddersfield, and it also marks the return of Martin Patterson, so Grimsby fans will know all about him, and no doubt they'll be telling some of the players the same things about him as well.
Can you see England progressing from the group stage in the World Cup?
To be honest, nah. You look at Suarez playing for Liverpool at the moment. If he carries on like that, he's going to annihilate the top goal scorers charts. You look at Italy, they've always been a good team. England, if they lose or draw to Costa Rica, then the World Cup in itself, it would have been a shambles. I think it's doable, they can win it. Well, maybe not win it, but go through. But I think if we don't go through, then, you know,
I think
it's a good try.
3 points against Costa Rica is a must.
Yeah.
Anything less, and you can say, you know, goodbye World Cup.
Can you see England coming back to win the Ashes?
No.
It's going to be very, very unlikely if they was to come back and win it now. Australia obviously winning the last test. So it's chances are very slim. And
also, they haven't just lost, they've been beaten heavily. So, no, I think Australia could end up whitewashing England, to be fair.
On Hull's current form, can they stay in the Premier League for next season?
Yeah, I would say they can. You look at the results in the matches they've played so far. They have played some of the big boys. They've beaten Liverpool 3-1 last week. So you just look at that match. It's an indication of what the team are capable of if they hit top form. Obviously, there are teams performing worse than them. So, you know, credit to Hull. They're playing well. But I think there will be 3 worse teams than Hull this season as well.
Yeah, you look at the top 6, as you say, as it is now. It used to be the top 4, obviously. You can't expect Hull to compete with them, but the teams are Crystal Palace and Cardiff, so if they're competing with them, then yeah, I think they'll be alright this season.
Well, that's it from us this week then. If you have a question for us, you can get in touch on Twitter at AskEstuary.
Thanks, Tom and Stu. Remember, if you want to send in your questions, you can tweet the guys, that's at AskEstuary, or if you want to let us know your opinion, you can tweet us in the studio, that's at On The Bench TV. Well, it's time now to go for a break, but we'll be back shortly to speak to Wayne Bloy, and Matt Denson heads down to Chequered Flag Go-Karting. See you soon. Welcome back to the show. We're joined in the studio by Barbara Brown from the Wolds Veterans Running Club and bantamweight boxer Wayne Bloy. Wayne, thanks very much for joining us. Great to have you along here. You retired back in 2012.
That's right.
Are you missing it?
A little bit, yeah. I think, you know, you do something for so long that you just don't know how to not do it anymore, and then you get to a point, you know, I think Ricky Hatton's a prime example. You saw what happened to him after he'd finished fighting. You just don't kind of know what to do with yourself, and luckily I've got a family, a young family to look after, so my time's pretty much taken up anyway. But yeah, to answer your question, I do miss it. Yeah, I do miss the training and the adrenaline you go through, you know, preparing for a fight.
How difficult a decision is it to call it a day after doing something day in, day out, and no doubt following a pretty rigorous training regime as well?
That's it. I mean, it's very difficult. It just seems like there's something missing in your life when you've done it for so long, and you just find yourself looking for something else to do, something else to train for, something else to work towards. So, yeah, I can definitely see why people struggle when they have retired. Definitely.
What was the best bit about your career?
It's hard to put, yeah, I mean, it's hard to put a finger on one particular event. I boxed sort of the best boxers in this country, especially at the moment. We've got a world champion, and I boxed him twice.
Such as? Who?
Jamie McDonnell from Doncaster. He's actually just been recently stripped of his world title, but that's another issue that he needs to sort out. But yeah, I boxed him twice, and had two fights with him. One was very good. When I look back at it now, because I've actually got a YouTube channel and I post my fights on there, and I look at it now and people say, oh, well, I think you actually won that. But I was in the away corner, and you know, you don't expect any favours when you're boxing away from home. But it was a very good fight, and something I'm proud of. Do any suggest that you may have finished too early, called it a day just too soon? I may have done, but at the time when I retired, it's you know, I've got a family to look after, I work. Boxing can't put food on the table, as sad as that may be, but unless you're an Amir Khan, or you know, someone that's a Luke Campbell, for example, that's going to sign a big signing on fee for turning professional, them guys can train full time, but you know, I had a family to support, and I had to put them first. And
so what are you doing at the moment to sustain that income?
So what I wanted to do was, okay, I didn't just want to walk away from boxing, because I spent 20 years in the gym, or over 20 years. You know, I've trained with some fantastic trainers that have trained world champions, you know, and I felt like I needed to do something with it. And with me having an ex-council background working with children, I felt I could sort of create something where I could involve sort of vulnerable children, vulnerable adults, and just give people an outlet to sort of vent the frustrations, you know, promote community cohesion, and just give them something to do.
And is it a hotbed for boxing in this area, for youngsters coming through?
Definitely. I mean, you've got to look like over in Hull, there's Luke Campbell coming through, there's Tommy Coyle over there, they're doing great things. You know, we've got Sky over there doing things. The gyms in town at the moment, in Grimsby Town, are absolutely buzzing. I think it's a legacy left from the Olympics.
Just remind us what you're called again?
My group is called Fusion Boxing Fit.
And how can we get involved? Youngsters want to get more involved in information. How can they find out?
We're very much in the infant stages of planning and development. We've not actually got premises yet, but I have got a Facebook page and a Twitter page, so you can go onto there, look for updates as to what we're doing, and we can we're hopefully going to put some sessions on very soon without actually being in the gym.
Okay, so watch out Facebook and Twitter.
That's right, yeah.
Yes. Okay, for now, Wayne, thanks very much indeed. Well, next up on the show, our intrepid reporter went along to Chequered Flag Go-Karting in Halton-le-Clay, where he faced an unlikely challenger. Take a look at this.
So I'm here, Go-Karting, Halton-le-Clay, just outside of Grimsby, where I'm led to believe there's 700 metres of track with 270cc of go-kart I'm going to be using today, and I understand I've got a bit of a challenge. Now I hope it's not one of the 7 nationals that's raced here, but we'll find out. Let's see how we get on. Now you must be Steve.
All right, Matt, welcome to Chequered Flag.
Thank you very much, thank you for having me. Now I've come to see you for some pointers, a bit of advice, and what do I need to do out there on your go-karting track?
Go as fast as you can, basically.
Okay.
Go as fast as you can without crashing.
Have you got any little tips that might just help me?
Like I say, be as smooth as you can. don't try and go around the corners too fast, basically.
Now I understand you've got some of the area's most powerful carts. Is that right?
We're the fastest in the area. We've got I believe we've got the biggest engines in the area. There's competitors that use 200cc carts. We use 270s.
Now, one thing I need to know is being lighter an advantage?
Not when it's raining.
Ah, good day to come.
There's a bit of luck for you.
Yeah. Sorry? You trying to say something, Steve?
Yeah, obviously, with them being 4-stroke, lighter is an advantage normally, not so much in the rain. It sorts the drivers out in the rain. Great
Steve,
stuff.
thank you very much. Thanks for your
No
help, and
problem.
let's see if it pays off.
Have some fun.
Thanks, Steve.
See you
Bye.
later.
You?
Yes, me.
This is going to be fun.
Indeed.
I wasn't expecting you.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Don't think Rob's the driving type.
No, probably not, but I wasn't expecting you. I was expecting a challenge.
Well, that's a bit unfair. Bet you're nervous.
No,
Driving against a girl, what if you lose?
I won't.
Really? You seem a bit confident. You must have had some tips.
I've had some good inside tips.
Have you?
Yes.
That's all right then. So do you know these get up to 45 miles an hour then?
Really?
Yeah.
What was it like to be beaten?
Sucks, really.
Does it?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
A little bit.
Okay.
I have done.
That looks like a great place for a day out, doesn't it? Well, finally in the programme, let's turn our attention to the results from our sports clubs around the region. Cleethorpes Town and Grimsby Borough made it a great weekend for football in North East Lincolnshire. Clee Town beat AFC Emley 3-1. Jonathan Oglesby scoring twice to help Cleethorpes Town keep pace at the top of the Toolstation Northern Counties East League Division 1. And Grimsby Borough beat Hemsworth 3-2, Carl Bensley netting the winner from the penalty spot. Well, honours even at the top of the Skrill Conference North as North Ferriby battled a 1-1 draw with Solihull Moors. Anthony Wilson scoring for Ferriby, who'll go top with a win against Leamington on Wednesday. Grimsby Town caused an upset in the FA Cup second round, of course, knocking out League 2 Northampton Town. The Mariners faced Championship side Huddersfield Town at home in the third round. Well, after the draw, Town striker Ross Hannah tweeted, "Could have been more glamorous, but have to say, still winnable and most importantly at home. Pack the park and anything can happen." Grimsby Hockey Club ladies' first team stormed to a 6-0 victory over Hornsey on Saturday. However, the second team didn't fare so well, suffering a 3-0 defeat at the hands of Louth. And finally, in rugby, Grimsby played Lincoln in a Lincolnshire derby at Springfield Road on Saturday. Lincoln went home the happier side as they beat Grimsby 18-0. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Many thanks to our guests, to Barbara Brown and Wayne Bloy. Thanks, of course, to you for watching. Remember, if you want to get in touch, you can tweet us in the studio @OnTheBenchTV. We hope to see you again next week. For now, bye-bye.